Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends, and thanks to our presenting sponsor, the Coffee Consultants Mastermind Group. We have a new group starting in July. If you're interested in registering, head to mapitforward.org/group coaching or send us an email at support@mapitforward.org. Today on the podcast, we are addressing the issues around why you're finding it difficult to get particularly spot green coffee right now. So if you don't know what spot coffee means, it just means that you can ring up an importer and say, hey, I need some coffee, and they're going to deliver it to you, as opposed to contracted coffee where you've forecasted the amount of coffee that you're going to need over a forward specific amount of time, and you work with your supply chain to make sure that you've secured that coffee. Now, what's super interesting about this situation is that we are noticing, and we're absolutely hearing from many people on the podcast, why can't they get any spot coffee right now? Well, that's because of a lot of reasons. The challenges that the value chain is experiencing right now has to do with shipping backlogs. It has to do with economics. It has to do with inflation. It has to do with the pandemic. It has to do with logistics. There are a lot of variables at play here that are making it very difficult for people in particular parts of the world right now, but this will become an increasing issue as time goes on. It's making it very difficult for people to get green coffee. Now, if we look at some of these things, you will notice that across certain regions of the world, it's not that they're not producing coffee. It's not even that they can't process the coffee. So production is happening, processing is happening at the mills, but what the issue is they cannot get containers, empty containers. They cannot get empty containers to put the millions of bags of coffees that they have at origin from the mill into the containers so that the trucks can take them from the mill to the ship and onto the boat. We know that this is absolutely happening in Guatemala. We know that this is happening in parts of Colombia. And we anticipate that this is going to start happening across more countries in the region. I don't have specifics on what's going on in other coffee producing regions of the world, but I do know that this is happening increasingly across Central and South America. Add to that people are having issues with actual shipping backlogs. So what you've got is that, well, because of the pandemic, also because of an increase in the commodity prices for certain commodities. A lot of commodities are increasing in demand. And so because of that, the price is increasing as well. Things like, as we've spoken about before on this podcast, things like lumber. And so if you've got lumber increasing in price and you've got the demand for lumber increasing in price, people are going to do what they can to prioritize their shipping containers getting onto a boat so that they can take they can take advantage of being able to ship these commodities at high prices. But then you add to that, the same thing is happening with grain. The same thing is now happening with coffee. The same thing is happening with steel. And a lot of these commodities are really seeing what they call a rally. So a steep increase that's driving growth in the commodities market. That's causing a backlog in the ability to get the containers, as we said, but also to get space on a shipping container to move coffee around the world. And then you have backlogs at the ports. So you have issues from the pandemic, you have issues from what happened with the Suez Canal. You've got a lot of these issues all backing up, and we haven't even got the coffee into the country at this point. And so just those things in particular are showing you how difficult it is and why you are struggling to get spot green coffee right now. Now, if you're on the mailing list of a lot of green bean suppliers, you'll notice that many of them have been doing a great job of communicating this. Where we're finding the issue is that people no longer trust that anyone who is saying, oh shit, secure your supply chain now, people are thinking that it's not that serious an issue. So it may not be a serious issue for you right now, but if you are hearing from your supplier and they are warning you to secure your supply chain, start working with them now to make that happen. If you are a client, one-on-one consulting client, or you are in the coffee mastermind groups, you already have access to all of our contacts to help you secure your supply chain. And most of the people in our sphere who are in mastermind groups or consultants in the one-on-one consulting program have already secured their supply chain from a few months ago into the next 12 months. Now, why that's important is because as the squeeze becomes more difficult, it is going to be harder for you to meet up with demands as the next thing that is going to influence this, companies going out of business, roasting companies and cafes going out of business because of what we're going to talk about in a future issue. Again, a number of issues coming together, like it being really, really hard to find staff and the rising price of commodities that you have to absorb as a small business before you can pass that on to your consumer. So while the atmosphere out there is all, yay, the pandemic's over, which it's not, and we're in recovery, which we're not, and that the economy's fixed, which it's not. But that's the perception that people are leaning into. If you are listening to this, I would encourage you, lock down your supply chain right now. If we can help you, we're happy to do that. We do not there's no, you have to be a customer of Map It Forward in order for you to get access to the resources that we have access to. That's not the case. Anyone who sponsors the English or the Arabic version of the Map It Forward podcast, the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, have opened themselves up to help our audience in any way that they can. So we have green sponsors, particularly on the Arab version of the podcast, that we have a direct line to, and we can put you in contact with them immediately. And we have done so with the people in our mastermind groups and anyone who's contacted us and said, hey, what do I do if I can't get coffee? Well, we're happy to introduce you to our contacts so that they'll look after you as a member of the Map It Forward sphere. I hope this has been helpful. Please take action. This is no joke. I have friends who are not in the mastermind groups or one-on-one coaching clients, and they've said, Lee, I cannot get coffee, help. And I mean, this is real, guys. So please secure your coffee today. I hope this has been helpful. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day.